What a day for the NSA. After that 60 Minutes piece, I almost believed the well-lubricated propaganda that the world's most formidable spying agency was really just targeting a few dozen dudes. But we were snapped back into reality, reading a court ruling that had one judge echoing what libertarians have been saying for years: mass spying violates the Fourth Amendment. I hate to say I told you so. So we'll let Matt and Camille do that in just a little bit. Welcome to the Independence. Hey there, I am your hostess, Kennedy, along with Reason Magazine editor-in-chief Matt Welch. He's looking ready for business. And joining us, the panel of three, it's Camille Foster from Freethink Media. Together we are the Independents. We haul out the garbage on both sides so you don't have to get your hands dirty. With that said, we throw a party here every night. We let in Republicans and Democrats, liberals and conservatives, but they have to play by our rules, which, to be honest, are pretty fantastic. Joining us from the left, it's Ellis Henican. Hi, Ellis.
Hey, how are you?
Good to see you.
Nice to be here.
To be here in our glorious studio. And our person on the right is also our person who is white. And I'm not being racialist. It's Kayleigh McEnany. Welcome, Kayleigh.
Thank you.
You're a glorious ray of sunshine.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we're going to try and shed some light on the spying activity. U.S. District Court Judge Richard Leon shut down the NSA surveillance program, saying they violate the Fourth Amendment. That's something you've been saying for quite a while now, Matt Welch. What does this mean?
Well, it's not quite shut down. It's a temporary injunction, right? So, okay, the NSA has to stop collecting metadata on all Americans, but it's going to be temporary until they're waiting until the federal government issues a response, right? So it's an injunction that has a stay in it. But what it really means is that for the first time, really since 1979, we have the federal court system saying that all the FISA court and all the secret spying that's been done, all the lying that's been done to Americans by the president, successive presidents, successive attorney generals, has come to a stop. It has to be under the real court system, not this secret cloak and dagger FISA court system for the first time.
And they're relying on a ruling from 1979, Smith versus Maryland, that said people who were making phone calls voluntarily conveyed numerical information, and they acknowledged that the pen register was legal. But this is a very different type of transmission, isn't it? I mean, we don't know what metadata is as average consumers, do we, Camille Foster?
Sure. Well, most of us don't. And the judge specifically pointed out that, he could not use this, his North Star, as he called it, an old ruling that existed before there were cell phones. The judge also talked about the efficacy of the current policy that we have in place and suggested that the federal government has not demonstrated or even suggested that they've actually been able to prevent an imminent threat to the United States as a result of this program, which calls into question the whole purpose behind having this program, let alone how expensive it almost certainly is.
So a lot of times, we talk about separating intent from action. And, Ellis, it doesn't seem like the intent of the federal government is to spy on and squash its citizens, but that is certainly the action. I mean, can you defend the NSA on a day like today?
No, I don't think you possibly can. Listen, we have lived for more than 2 centuries in this country with some pretty clear principles that come out of the Bill of Rights, right? They say that before we let the government kick in our door or listen in on our phone calls, they have to have some pretty good showing of some probable cause, at least some reasonable suspicion. This had thrown that out the window, and they just cast this huge net across all of us. Finally, this judge is saying, whoa, hold on a second. We need you to make a showing here.
All right, and we talk about wiretapping, we talk about this phone precedent, but what's really going on with the NSA? Are they just spying on a couple of dozen guys?
Kennedy, you know what? I want to preface what I'm going to say with, I think the NSA and wiretapping in the hands of an honorable administration is a net good. I do not think this is an honorable administration, so I do not think wiretapping in the hands of the Obama administration is a good thing. That being said, it was incredibly successful under President Bush. I have here a list of 50 thwarted terrorist attacks, and that's just what we know of, which are a result of counterterrorism measures put in place by the Bush administration. So when used appropriately, it's a net good, but in the hands of a man who has used the IRS to target conservatives, it's simply untrustworthy.
I mean, would you be any less
list of 50
terrified?
absolutely disappears on contact with the reality. Anyone who has looked at this journalistically with any kind of skepticism, that's not a list of 50 thwarted terrorist attacks. It's just not. Seriously, it's a Google situation. That's one thing. But Sue, shouldn't we be, when we're trying to craft policy, not thinking about what would happen if it's an honorable man who gets to do this? It's actually what will happen when the dishonorable man uses this. We shouldn't be investing in the faith.
We should be thinking what can be used to protect American lives. And I think wiretapping is something that, when used appropriately, protects American lives. And to be quite honest, this is classified information. So none of us really know what's going on.
Which is an excellent
Ellis,
point.
let's let Ellis get in here.
Here's what we know, right? I mean, there are some instances where we do want government to keep secrets and spy on people, right? I mean, we all agree with that. But there has to be some kind of tight control of that. And this FISA court, Matt, you were mentioning a minute ago, they just agreed to everything. They just said, oh, yeah, go ahead. And then the NSA did even more than they let them do.
And importantly, the FISA court rulings are not made public themselves. And it's all based on information that the executive branch gives them. And this is an executive branch. John Ashcroft, George Bush, who you might have liked, John Ashcroft in 2003 said, we don't spy on Americans, even as they were installing spying units inside of telecom companies. The president that we have right now lied to Jay Leno in September. He said, we don't spy on Americans. We have no spy. It's a lie. They
all
lie
evidence
to us all
the
the time.
That's right.
The only reason we know any of this is because of Edward Snowden. And this is the reason this has sort of unlocked the floodgates here of people realizing this. And the judge is righteously reacting to that.
Matt, but the dozen or so terrorists who were arrested in 2006 for the thwarted plot of the 10 aircrafts that they were intended to blow up, electronic surveillance was part of that. That helped to thwart that attack. That saved lives. If wiretapping can save even a few lives, does it justify the government listening in on a suspicious comment?
I don't think there is a blanket justification, no matter who's in office. I mean, this is one of the great partisan fallacies, that somehow if your guy is in there, he's going to do the right thing. Because I think the lure of money and power and control is so great that even the most rational, restrained person, once they get a hold of it, changes, and it is to our detriment.
Kennedy, in principle, I agree with you. I agree with wiretapping in the hands of even President Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter. I do not agree with wiretapping in the hands of President Obama.
We can talk about the efficacy of this program narrowly, though. This sort of massive dragnet program has not proven to be particularly effective. I'm not certain that we can point to a credible instance of this program actually thwarting a terrorist attack. What they referred to yesterday on the 60 Minutes piece was this bizarre BIOS attack, which just does not pass the smell test. I'm not at all convinced that the administration needs this kind of power. This is the sort of power that any administration, does not matter which party, is almost certainly going to abuse. And that was the finding today, that it violates our privacy.
In that decision today, Judge Leon said that there is no evidence, zero evidence, that actual real-time information came out of these searches that stopped anything.
Don't worry, Kayleigh. We're going to give you a chance to have your revenge. I know it feels like 4-on-1, and we're going to have Ellis and Kayleigh back in just a little bit, I promise you. And we are just a few hours away from being sold down the river in a bad budget. Would you rather be gay in India or suffer from affluenza? All that and a relaxing stone massage. That's coming up on The Independent.